That's right. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Terry, and everybody out there.
What's going on, buddy?
Just talking to you.
Well, that's a good thing to be doing.
Yeah, it's a pretty Saturday.
I love it. We always like a good Saturday morning here on All About Home Construction. And we're not going to a break yet. What computers.
You didn't feed them squirrels.
Oh, I'm not used to the new computers sometimes. That's all right. So anyway, what's going on, man? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you. It just working my life away.
It's about time.
Well, how long do you have to work?
How long? Forever. I mean, isn't that the way it goes?
Well, I think so. Country boys, I think, work that way.
We just never retire.
Self-employed people never retire.
Well, that's why you're all so rich.
Yeah.
That's what they think anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I've always heard. You're self-employed, you're rich. It doesn't matter if you work 100 hours a week.
Correct.
And you only make profit about $20 a day. But
regardless of what kind of profit you make, it still goes back into the company.
That's what matters. But anyway, all about home construction here on WATA and all of our podcast listeners. We appreciate you guys and jumped up a little bit in some ratings. We thank you for that.
Well, good deal.
And yeah. So, well, hey, before we get too much into it, you said there's a VFW dinner tonight.
Yes, it is. Colin's been cooking, and it's butternut squash soup.
Nice.
With bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich for $12.
There you go. Can't beat that. That's a great deal.
Yep.
Can't even get fast food for that anymore. And this is homemade, home cooking.
Yeah. That's a fact. I got my ham biscuit this morning and my bow rounds and my drink, and it's $8. So
right. Yeah, there you go. Going over the VFW this evening, I guess, and they'll hook you right up. And you said the magic word, bacon.
Oh yeah, that's good bacon. Same bacon they used on the breakfast. Nice. They're getting reoriented.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like you said the word bacon. I think everyone should be there.
And well, I don't know what kind of music they're playing, but I retired from the kitchen, so
I'm sure they'll still have a rock and roll song at least.
Well, you never know. And they did ask me to do 2 dinners a year.
Right. Okay.
And I will do the steak dinners.
Well, we'll see how that works out. But tonight, squash soup.
Butternut squash.
Butternut squash soup. Yeah. I like butternut squash. I like all squashes, but
you know what?
I did when I was young, but the older I get, I like squash.
My wife gives me a hard time because I do not like yellow squash, crookneck squash, but I love fried zucchini.
Zucchini is,
and I like zucchini and stir fry.
Yep. Yeah. I like pickled squash and zucchini. You ever pickled it?
No.
Nah, that's good, pickles. I like just about pickled anything.
Well, my wife does garlic pickles.
Ooh.
And,
so when you get here's the catch. Here's the shortcut. You ready for the shortcut? When you finish the regular pickles, you save the brine, the jar, and you just cut up some squash and zucchini in your case, and you put it in there, and you just let it sit in the fridge. A few weeks, tastes good.
A good deal.
That's what I've been doing with my cabbage. I like pickled cabbage. You ever had pickled cabbage?
No. I've just acquired the taste over the last few years. I don't like boiled cabbage at all.
Well, that's because you didn't have it right.
But I like fried cabbage.
I like all cabbage, so.
And I love raw cabbage.
Well, raw cabbage is good. We have, I say we because I went to my mom's house back at the beginning of the month, and we went to there's tons of produce stands where I grew up, and some big produce stands. And we got a big, was it 50 pounds, I guess it is, of cabbage?
Yeah.
The big bag of cabbage. I guess they're 50 pounds, 40 pounds, whatever
50.
They are, 50 pounds. And anyway, we got a 5-gallon food grade bucket and chopped it all up and made sauerkraut.
Pickled it yourself?
Well, yep. So it's actually at her house right now. It's still fermenting, whatever you want to call it.
Do you have your rock on it?
We used a glass lid. So,
and because I remember my granny had a little took the wooden board, put cheesecloth on top of it, and then put a rock on it.
Well, we like I said, we did it. We went to Went to Lowe's actually and just got a 5-gallon bucket, but you got to be careful. You got to get the food grade bucket,
Correct.
And we put a lid on it just to keep, but it's not sealed. But just to keep it, bugs out. But
Correct.
Put the lid on, and then, like I said, we just got a glass plate inside it, or lid, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that'll work.
It's just got all it does is keeps it
From floating.
Yeah, it keeps it from floating. Anyway, so yeah, so what is it, like 6 weeks or something? So
Couldn't
3 more
take-
weeks from now, I'll bring you jars of
Well,
sauerkraut
they
from-
changed the name on the creek going through ASU. It's no
know.
longer Kraut Creek.
Boone Creek, which is kind of cool. I mean, for those that newer to the area, like that area, what's up at the ag center, that direction anyway. Like I don't know exactly where the building sat.
Well, I didn't either because I think it was closed before I was born.
Yeah, but apparently there was a big cannery up there, and cabbage grows well in the mountains. So it makes sense to have a place that people would make
homemade
sauerkraut.
sauerkraut.
I like good sauerkraut.
One thing me and the Hooker boys did is I like Penrose sausage.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this. Yeah,
And, ConAgra bought Penrose out. They make the big hot dogs. It's Red Hots.
Yep.
But they discontinued the Penrose sausage. And I belonged to a group of canners and picklers and stuff like that. Was able to get the recipe that is 99% like the Penrose sausage.
Nice.
And we actually bought the sausage stuffer, smoked it, and pickled it. The only thing is, it was too hot.
A little too spicy.
Yeah, I'll have to back off on the crushed red pepper, but other than that,
Nice.
it was excellent.
See, yeah, but you like smoking. I need to get back into smoking meats. I enjoyed getting into it. One day I'll get a good smoker. I'm gonna have a big outdoor kitchen. I have a big smoker out there. I'll invite you over one day.
My best smoker I got is a 30-gallon hot water heater.
That you converted over.
No, the guy did it, cut it, made it all.
Yeah.
And you can't put a lot of meat in it, but you talk about giving the smoky flavor, then moist, and getting a good
Right.
covering bark on it.
Nice.
But the bark's not crunchy. The bark is soft.
Tender, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been. I'm not a huge cheese guy. Like I'm not a cheese fan really. I mean, I'll eat a little cheese, but I've been following again, reading up. I like to read random stuff, and was talking about smoked cheese lately. It's been kind of interesting.
Well, there's a lot of them smoke their cheese on that group that I'm on.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So if I get back into it one day, I may smoke some cheeses too. But I like the old stuff. I mean, I've been trying to go back and do some of the preserving like the old days, and I made cured some pork, like salt cured pork. I've got some of that.
Good.
And that's been good. I don't really have a good place to hang it, so I have to do it in the fridge, and it takes a little longer. It's a little more moisture. But
Well, I did water cure.
well, my secret's out now. But when the sauerkraut gets done, I'll have a 5-gallon bucket, and so that's where I'm gonna go with that route and try to
Put a
salt
piece of
cure-
meat in.
Salt cure some more pork in that with the brine.
Well,
My question is does pickling salt matter, or can it be regular salt as long as it's not ionized?
correct.
I don't know.
Just try it.
I'll find out.
Because like that water cure, see, I have that vacuum machine that I can
That's right. Yeah.
vacuum pack it with liquids.
Yeah.
And it's real fast.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, when you do like ham, you get salty ham.
Right.
But a lot of people wash their ham off, takes a lot of salt off.
Right.
It. Well, this with the vacuum machine, when you vacuum it, it pushes it into the meat, and it actually makes it over salted.
Yeah.
So it's good for pork and meat, but pinto beans
Right.
and stuff like
Cooking,
that.
right.
And because I sliced some up and give it to some of the veterans, and they're going, that tastes just like it did when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, this last weekend, Leslie and I went up to Living History event, and so we were in a 1858 agriculture fair, which was kind of fun.
I bet it was.
So we get that's talking about preserving food. Like we saw a lot, people would enter different jellies and things like that they made. So I don't know. It's fascinating stuff. I mean, that's where I was at this weekend reading. And then, of course, this week I was reading about like how they used to wax seal the jars and stuff.
Yep. So, paraffin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just fascinating stuff to me. Because, it's like everything goes in cycles. We're but like that whole movement of going back to our roots, kind of cool.
Yep.
So anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. I guess I'm going to blame the bacon.
VFW, the bacon.
The bacon at the VFW. We didn't salt cure it. No worries. It's good bacon. But yeah, butternut squash. Let's go there. Let's go back to butternut squash soup. So head over to the VFW this evening. 4 o'clock, I guess?
I think it's 3 to 7.
3 to 7. Okay. And then, it'll be good stuff. Tell you what, let's go ahead and take our first break. And then that way we can jump right back into All About Home Construction. Thanks for listening. That's right. All About Home Construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks to all of our podcast listeners as well. So happy Saturday, Randy Blake. And okay, let's get into our topic a little bit. We first of all, we like a good, tight, efficient house, right? I mean, that's
correct.
That's what we like, because we like comfort for one. We don't like a breezy house for that. We also don't like to spend a lot of money on energy and electricity, heat. And so a tighter the house is better, right? I mean, essentially.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So, but the problem is, have you ever walked inside of like a walk-in cooler, or think of, imagine yourself sitting inside of a cooler itself, that's airtight. It's not going to be comfortable. You're not going to get any fresh air, right?
Correct.
So that's the problem with a tight house, isn't it?
It is, and that's where it becomes a problem. And this show is on ventilating your home, okay? Mm-hmm. And now most people don't realize there is 3 ventilation systems already put in your house that it's not designed by it, but for your comfort. Mm-hmm. One is your dryer.
Right.
Okay, because every time you start your dryer, it will start to exchange air through your house.
Well, and that's the one, like we were talking before the show, like that's the one I didn't really... I mean, I know I get what you're saying, but I never really thought of it exchanging the air, but it does. It's especially if you got it vented out. 99% of the people, which I guess is code now, is to vent outside, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing that, you're exchanging that air. You're moving it outside. You're getting rid of it.
Correct.
Completely.
And then the next is your hood vent over your stove.
Yeah.
All right, because a lot of times during the green era, they talked about not venting it outside and using the vents that recirculated the air. Well, that puts the air back in. I have no problem with that, because a lot of microwaves, you don't vent back outside. But if you do the ventilation system to the outside, now that's going to take the bad air from the kitchen. Not all the grease particles and everything's going to go up.
Right.
All right. If the screen catches it, the grease won't. And then your bathroom fans. Mm-hmm. Okay. And another thing that can change your air, people don't think about, is a toilet or a sink, because every time you run water. Mm-hmm. But those are all minute things that change the air.
Right.
All right. They want you to change your air in your house 0.35 air changes per hour.
Right. And we don't use the bathroom with a fan every hour. We don't cook every hour. And so even those exchangers, we don't wash clothes rather. 24
Correct.
hours a day.
So you're not going to get the
well,
air.
I do. I got
You're
kids,
not going to get the air exchange that you need for your house to make it a healthy house. That's what they call it.
Right.
All right. I'm a true believer that you cannot build a house with bad insulation and make it as tight as you want it. Mm-hmm. But we proved the fact with that when we did Will's house.
Right.
You've heard us talk about that, because we used Buck Welburn, put in the blow-in insulation. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we actually got him to do the rafters, but I do not like the blown-in insulation in an attic where there's air transfer from the vents in your house. Okay,
right.
Because in the past we've been in older homes where they've put the blown-in insulation in it, and the soffit vent and the gable vents have taken the insulation off the drywall.
Right.
Now you've created a cold spot in your house or a hot spot. It works both ways, summer and winter. And So we had bad insulation put up on top, okay? Mm-hmm. And then we had bad insulation underneath because we built this house on stilts.
Right.
But then we did the blower door test, which we accomplished what we were trying to do. And the blower door test puts your house in a vacuum, okay?
Right.
And then that tells you what size the hole is in your house.
Yeah, because it's pulling. In other words, it's pulling. It's the vacuum's wanting to pull air in
through everywhere there's an air leak.
Right, and that air leak could be as small as, we've talked about it in the past, where the planer blades or a saw cut, for instance,
a chatter.
Yeah, let's just say a bad cut by the framer, and you don't have a complete 90 degrees, and so now your joists are not lining up, or your studs are not lining up 100%.
Well, let's think about that planer blade in that house we talked about. All right, he always had a problem there. Mm-hmm. All right, this was a brick home. So I would think that when they put the sheeting on the house, see, during the time when they built this house, they didn't have Tyvek on it.
Right.
Or they might have had board sheeting, or they might have had plywood on it, but they didn't cut the plywood correctly, and it had a gap in it.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So now let's say if it's a sided house with hardy plank.
Right.
All right. Or any kind of siding that has a hole in it, that blower door test will draw that air through that hole, down the wall, and through that crack. Mm-hmm. All right. And there's a formula for it on how much air will leak in your house. Well,
because most leaks typically are going to come from the windows, right? Windows, not the window themselves, but the frame and the sills around the windows.
Correct. A lot of it does that way, because when you pack insulation around that window, that's what you're doing. You're packing.
Right.
You're not creating any R value whatsoever. There is, because, all right, I'll give you an instance. R19 insulation put in a 2x4 wall because you think more insulation is better.
Right.
Well, you're compacting that 6 insulation down to 3.5, so now it's only R13.
Yeah.
All right, because you lose the R value because of the air in the insulation. That's what creates the R value.
Well, and you can really tell this. I've been in houses before and go to plug in something, in an outlet, and you can just feel, in the wintertime, especially the cold days, and you can just feel that cold air coming through an outlet.
Well, those are the houses that don't need air exchange in it,
right? Because they're not tight. But that's the key, right? Is we want to make a tight house, and so with the advance of all this insulation, especially when we start talking about various foam insulations, which seems to be more and more economical than they were.
Yes.
A tight house, and so but again, we want a healthy house, and so there comes that point where we need fresh air in, but we need to control what that fresh air is.
Correct. And now, one thing we did at Wheels was we bought a tank of foam, okay? Mm-hmm. So everywhere in the cathedral ceiling, in the bedroom and stuff, the barge rafter,
yep,
where the 2x4s go out the wall, we foamed all that. We foamed all the bands in the first and second floor, because you get air leakage there.
In between the two, yeah.
Yeah. And
in the sill.
Yep. Now, the sill now is no problem, okay, mm-hmm. because if you'll take, glue and glue your seal down, but there you're dependent on a 1/4-inch glue joint in a 5.5-inch wall.
But that's more of a thermal break than it is an insulation.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we've changed that over years, because we've took the seal foam seal.
Yeah.
Now we're putting it under our walls on that, so we have a barrier that totally stops the air out.
Nice.
And over the years, I'm seeing more pictures like the Habitat homes, mm-hmm. the double top plates. They're putting 6 mil plastic in between the top plates.
Okay.
That way you can still straighten your wall, but you have a gasket.
Yeah.
But then if you have that planer blade chip, that 6 mil plastic is useless.
Yeah.
Well, not really useless, but
it doesn't work
properly,
right?
So you can actually take your foam seal again, the 5.5-inch, and put on between your top plates. That way now you have a gasket.
Right. So, okay, you were talking about a blower door test. What is and I know the test is not required by code anymore.
No, I wished it was.
But when it was required, or just in good practice, if you will, what is an acceptable exchange unit?
The grade is 75.
Okay.
Okay, and I wish we had somebody here that does it. Maybe we can get a guest that talks about it. That when you put the blower door test on, and they pulled the vacuum on it, I can't remember how long they did it, because we was trying to get Will's house certified. Okay,
right.
And Will Hadaway, which we had Will Hadaway on the radio years ago.
Yep.
And so he put the test on. Our house come in at 64. Okay. The state, once you get down to 61, then you have to add an air exchange unit in your house.
Right.
So that's where two things that cause I know one thing that caused the leaking was the windows. When the windows come down in the corners, it was leaking air in every window.
Right.
Wasn't a lot. When the wind was blowing, it was more prevalent than it was,
Sure,
of course.
Sure.
But where Buck sprayed the insulation up in the cathedral ceiling and we had to go to bats, there was our other leak.
Right. Well, the key to blower door test is to get close to that 50 in the grade, because that's considered the tighter, more efficient house. And so the higher you get from 50, and like you were saying, 75.
Costs more money to heat and cool.
Exactly. But this was interesting. It says at 50, if you get to that 50 score, it equates to something like a sheet of paper. Like that's 40 square inches. So think about like a regular printer sheet of paper. And so to when you see that, like it's spread out at least, like that's the good thing, right? Because if we saw a hole in our walls that was the size of a sheet of paper, we would freak out.
Well, Will's blower door test now, think of this. The hole was a 3-inch hole in his house.
Right.
Okay? And people don't think about that. Probably my house, a 64 model, because it's got the draft going through. It probably has a hole in it.
The door is open.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it turns out when once you go above the 75,
right,
that means you have a window open all the time.
Exactly. Well, and that's the key. And again, I mean, we kind of laugh at it because if we went and drilled, if I brought a hole saw to your house and I cut a 3-inch hole and just left it, you would not be very happy, right?
No. But all the leaks around the house, that's what they give you. They give you a hole size when you have this done.
So I mean that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to think about that way.
But the whole idea is to build a house that's energy efficient, warm, cool, and you can afford to pay for that improvement, like going with the foam insulation in your house. Everybody goes, well, golly, foam is so high. But if you can pay for it in 5 years on your heating and cooling, then after 5 years, that's money in your pocket.
Right. Well, and again, I think we talk so much about money, and that's 70% of it, I think. But there's also comfort. I like to be comfortable, and I hate a drafty house. And that to me, that's...
Well, that don't much bother me because I'm on the side of the brick.
Yeah.
And I like to sleep in a cold room.
Feel the cold. Okay, that's fair. But still, I mean, we in the summertime, we don't like... I mean, we like... How many people set their thermostats and, 72 degrees or whatever, and then they don't really change it in the summer and the winter. They just leave it, and let it do its thing. Let the heat pump do its thing. So,
correct, and that's the reason we have it. A heat pump air conditioner is a dehumidifier,
right? But
you also need to put a humidifier in there so your house is in the comfort level year round.
Sure.
And it'll keep it from deteriorating.
So, well, okay, let's go back to these tight, efficient houses, right? How do we get the air then? How do we get healthy air? Moving around, and yet we got to control it because we don't want to just open a window in the middle of winter.
Right. Well,
fresh air.
That's what the air exchange unit's for. Okay, and you can set them. Now, I know we talked about this a couple months ago after I had that class about the contractor. The homeowner was suing him because there was too much moisture in his house.
Right.
and the house was over 5 years old, and to come to find out that the homeowner hadn't changed the filters in the air exchange unit.
So that's where it went wrong.
Yep. And there's quite a few different, but you have to plan for them, because here's one from Amazon from Panasonic that fits in your ceiling.
Right.
Okay. And it has a vent. So generally when you want to put a vent, you want to put a vent like this in your washroom.
Right. Well, so essentially an air exchanger, I mean, there's different ones, obviously, but an air exchanger takes that stale air, if you will, from inside your house.
Correct.
Brings fresh air in from the outside.
Without losing your heat.
Exactly. And then that's the whole point, is it exchanges that.
So you can take, now it's got ductwork on it.
Right.
You have your inside, then you have the air exchange that goes to the outside, which brings it back in.
Right.
And exchange the air and pushes it back into the room. You can actually change the area of it, some of them. So let's say you run through your attic and you put it on the farthest end of your house to pump air back into your house to push it back to the air exchange unit.
Right.
And you're not going to feel this air change at all.
Well, that's the key, is because now, again, going back to that comfort, going back to, because again, we wouldn't open a window in the middle of winter to get fresh air in, right?
Correct.
And so by doing this, it's heating that fresh air up, and so you don't feel that change. Now I know in the past you're a fan of like the closed crawl spaces and stuff.
Yes, I am.
Can you put an air exchanger in there, or would that just not be fresh air?
No, the whole idea of the closed crawl space is to totally cut moisture out.
Right.
And because you've been in houses where you got high moisture levels with crawl space, 6 mil plastic. Somebody's crawled underneath your house, and they've separated the plastic, and nobody ever taped the plastic.
Right.
Okay, you got the old brick piers in it and stuff, and they just cut it around it. But then that air goes up. Okay, when moisture comes around, let's say, not necessarily a lane, but let's just take a regular rain. Okay, will sink around your house and go through the block. How many houses? Well, you don't get out like I do. How many homes are being built today out of block where the mason doesn't strike the lines?
Right.
Okay, he just wipes it off. Yeah. The line strike is to waterproof that joint. Well, the brick is not very waterproof either.
Right.
And so moisture comes through it. I fight it all the time in my house.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Even when I built the addition and I dug down for my footers and stuff, yes, it had asphalt on it, because I was always a believer that the ground eventually eat the asphalt, but it hadn't.
Right.
But if you put one coat of asphalt on it, doesn't mean you're going to seal every pore in your block.
Sure. Right. I mean, yeah, it does.
We generally, there's no problem with foundation sealer with asphalt and putting 6 mil plastic on it.
Right.
But we generally put 3 coats of asphalt sealer on the foundation. So we make sure we get it. Then we put our plastic on. Then you put blackboard or whatever you want. Right. So when you backfill it, you don't cut holes in it.
Cool. All right, let's take a break. We'll get back to air exchangers in just a minute. Thanks for listening to us. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Thanks to the podcast listeners, and all the radio listeners should listen to the podcast when they want to go back and listen and say, what did they say? Well, now you know what we said. So you can go back and listen. Or just go to YouTube. That's the easy part. Everyone does YouTube.
Well, one of these days, me and Terry grow up and get some cameras.
Yeah, but until then, the audio's on YouTube. You just don't get to watch us. You get to listen to us, though. So
don't get to break your TV.
There you go. You just play it in the background, hit play, because there's nothing to see but a screen. Or
you can even get it faster than that on your Alexa.
I know that's the easiest. Is just tell whatever smart speaker you got. I'm a Google guy, but tell it to play it. Siri can play it, I guess. I suppose. I never tried. I'm not an Apple guy.
Yeah,
Android guy.
I am too.
Someone try that. And let us know. Ask Siri to play it for us, and
I'll ask my brother. He's a Siri guy.
All right. Then maybe if they email us allabouthomeconstruction@gmail.com, I'll put out another sticker and send them a sticker. That's what we'll do. All right. Next person that listens to it on a smart speaker and emails us, I'll send them a sticker.
All right. Give them our email.
That's what we'll do. All right. All right. Talking a little bit about air exchangers and so, okay, here's the thing. Well, Randy, I have a furnace or I have an air conditioner. I don't need an air exchanger, right?
Not really.
Well, but the
are you going to run it in the winter?
That's what I was going to say. The air exchanger essentially just, the furnace or the air conditioner will just recirculate what's in the house already, right?
Well, the furnace is made to put positive pressure on your house.
Right.
That's how it keeps you warm in the wintertime.
Right.
Because of the leaks you have in your house around your windows and doors,
right.
Or where you got that planer blade chatter in your top plate, that puts positive pressure. That's what tries to keep the cold out.
Right.
But let's say when you don't have that furnace on, you go run that furnace 24 hours a day.
Right.
All right. Now that cold air is going to start creeping back in.
Yeah. So an air exchanger, though. So I guess my point is, if I have a furnace or I have an air conditioner, I probably would look at a air exchanger too. Like that doesn't negate.
Well, to see if you need an air exchanger,
yeah,
I would have somebody do the blower door test. Okay, don't make an assumption, because a good air exchanger starts about $1,000.
Right.
Okay, so just don't say, well, I need.
I have to have right, but for the most part, I mean, houses that were built in the late 90s, early 2000s up to now, that's really the time period we're talking about where we're getting an efficient enough house that we, in theory,
believe it or not, probably not. Okay. Probably around 2005 and 6 is when those houses started coming.
Okay.
Now, there are some houses that are out in the late 90s where they did use the total foam envelope.
Right.
And because when I went down to Coleman, Alabama, to meet the company that was designing steel frame homes, I got to meet a couple guys down there a couple times with classes and stuff. And they were building 10,000 square foot homes and out of steel and turning around and foaming the whole house and foaming outside walls, floor joists. Instead of doing the ceilings, they did envelope where they went up the rafters and all the way across.
Right.
When you use foam, you don't put ridge vents in.
Right. Okay.
And so here they're talking about 10,000 square foot homes that are so energy efficient that the electric bill was $300 a month to heat and cool. That's out. That was just blowing my mind.
Sure.
But nobody ever talked about an air exchange unit in that house, those houses. So those houses could actually be a contaminated house.
Right.
Because in Florida, you're never going to open a window.
Sure.
I mean, you might from time to time.
But not enough to exchange. Again, how much did you say we're supposed to exchange at an hour?
The federal government says 0.35 air exchange, okay? That equals to 15 cubic feet of air per minute.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a decent amount of air.
Yes, it is. And that's not a lot of air in a 10,000 square foot house.
Right.
Or my house is 1,100 foot. You know, you would feel that.
Right. So, okay. So let's play devil's advocate a little bit here. Do I want to tie? Because we've always sat here and said, like, we want a tight house. We want an efficient house. But now you're telling me it's going to cost me money to have an efficient house.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you go with a foam house, you know you're going to have to put an air exchange unit in. Okay? But the foam is going to be a payoff in 5 years. Okay? So, like Will's house, all right, it's 1,200 and some feet.
Right.
$80 a month to heat and cool, that's not bad.
Well, and that's the key, right? Is like that the cost of that air exchanger is negated by the savings.
Yeah. So what we did when we did the blower door test, we took the hood vent down, taped off where we had it to go outside. We made sure the dryer vent was taped off. Okay. Bathroom vents were taped off. Anything that had that would allow air to go out.
Right.
We taped up, and we only had a 3-inch hole with that 64. Right. Okay, so if we untaped them, then we'd have a little more air exchange, and still not enough to warrant an air exchange unit, but it was still an energy efficient house.
Energy efficient, right?
You know, you're going to pay more for foam. You're going to pay more for windows, And not all windows are the same. All right. A vinyl window is a good window.
That right.
But I don't believe a vinyl window is as airtight as a aluminum clad wood interior. Fiberglass is a better product than a vinyl window.
Sure. But again, you could have the most expensive, most energy efficient window on the market, and you put it in, but you don't put it in correctly. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, or your insulation around it's not correct.
Yeah, if everything around it is, which is what we see quite a bit, right? I mean, we see that a lot where we got really nice windows. The windows themselves aren't leaking, but the framing around the windows, everything around it, again, we shoved insulation in it, or that's a really tight spot. We're not going to shove insulation in.
Correct. Or to give you an idea,
both.
You talked about filling the receptacle with the air coming in.
Yep.
Generally, what the reason for that is because they tucked the insulation behind the wire.
That bat. Yep. You get a bat, or you squeeze it in.
Yeah. Or they tucked it in front, so now you have that air seepage from the backside.
Yep.
Which will travel through the holes.
Or they just bunched it up around the outlet itself.
Yes.
I've seen that. Instead of cutting out, they notching it out, they just shove it around it.
And that's the reason I was a true believer in the blow-in bat system.
Because it settles where it needs to go.
That's the worst loss we ever had in the county was losing Buck.
Yeah, exactly.
Or losing Buck's company. I've not talked to Buck in a while.
So, yeah, miss old Buck. He was the first guest we had on the show.
Yes, he was.
So, okay, so when we think of this, blower door tests, you said, are no longer required.
Correct.
What's the chances then of let's say a new house? Would you say it's 50-50 in terms of like people still do? In other words, do people still do the blower door test, or because it's not required, are we seeing people not doing the blower door test?
On a new house, I would include it in the cost.
Okay.
All right. The reason for that is for my own benefit.
Sure.
All right, because about everything we've ever done, we try to build energy efficient. And to give you an idea, we've talked about the Kendall's house was 1885.
Right.
We insulated every wall in that house. That's what they wanted.
Sure.
And it was actually an energy efficient home till they decided to put a whole house fan in the attic. And it's a 3x3 commercial fan with the grid in it because they wanted to make sure they stayed cool in the summertime.
That's funny.
And I'm going, Mrs. Kendall, imagine heating this house in the wintertime. We're not going to be here in the wintertime.
Right.
So that's the house we cycle all the way down. We turn the heat off, winterize it and everything. And but that right there just killed the energy efficiency of the whole house.
Sure. All right, let's take a break. We'll come right back. Thanks for listening. All about home construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us, talking a little bit about air exchangers and just an efficient, comfortable house. And that's what we like.
Yep.
A good, comfortable, efficient house. And hey, before we get into it, don't forget the VFW dinner tonight, butternut squash soup and BLTs.
Sandwiches.
So, yummy. $12. $12. There you go. Can't beat it. VFW off of State Farm Road here in Boone. Go over there and check them out. But yeah, okay. So again, just sort of that whole, tighter is better, but we want to have fresh air too. And so now we have to add these exchangers. But what I like about this isn't just you cutting a hole and putting a fan in the wall. I mean, this is an actual, some of these exchangers you've showed me and talked about, like, it looks like just a bunch of filters put together. Like it's worse than a car filter, in terms of, it's just lots of it.
If you put an air exchange unit in, you have to make sure you have access to it to change these filters. Because I sent Terry a picture of a filter that filtered the air coming in and filtered the air that it took out.
Right.
So that's a double filter system. And most of these units, a good unit starts at $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the question then, is how much, again, playing devil's advocate here, how much does it cost to run, though? Are you going to see a significant change in the energy that it takes to run?
One of them I looked at was 82 watts.
Okay.
So it's less than a 100 watt bulb.
Yeah, Fairly small then.
And they've made some advancements
Yep.
in the last 20 years on brushless motors and stuff like that.
Right.
And so that helps out a bunch. That saves energy.
Sure. Well, it's just, but the maintenance for the air exchanger itself is just changing filters.
That's it.
There's really no other maintenance involved.
Nope.
And, so do you see these air exchangers? Like, let's say, okay, I'm like, dude, I really want to put one in my house. Like maybe I have went in and sealed up and found some leaks, and so like recessed lighting leaks and plumbing leaks and electrical leaks, like where I'm losing energy. And I went back now, I fixed those leaks. I've added new windows. I've added new doors and stuff. And so my house is a lot tighter now. I want to put an air exchanger in. What is that something that you put in with something like an HVAC system, or is that a completely separate,
total different
stands
system?
All completely alone.
And I sent you 2 pictures, illustrated pictures of what the idea of the air exchange unit.
Right.
And one was through a roof vent, the gable vents.
Mm-hmm.
One is through the vented system on your shingle.
Right. So
the ridge cap.
Typically, though, you're going to put this in the attic if you have.
Correct. And another thing you can do too. Let's say you've got your house, you don't want to buy an air exchange unit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you have a bathroom fan.
Yeah.
All right. Take your bathroom fan and put it on a timer.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Okay. Or if you have in your, because a lot of times the washer and dryer's in your bathroom too.
Mm-hmm.
Utility room close.
Yeah.
And put it on a timer. That way you can set the timer for 20 minutes, and it'll be exchanging a lot of the air in the whole house.
Right.
Okay. And
but they tend to be a lot more loud. They're a lot louder than these air exchangers, because a good air exchanger, you're not really going to know it kicks in.
No, you're not. But that's an idea to keep from spending $1,000.
Fair.
Because I don't know. Well, you buy a timer for, well, I would think $15, but I ain't.
Right.
It could be more than that.
Okay. That's a good Band-Aid to put on it. I like it. It's just I don't know. Again, like I think a lot of people kind of snub their nose at the air exchangers because we're used to these, growing up and stuff, of these these drafty houses where we didn't need them. But again,
well, I definitely don't need it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. But again, we're even especially with new construction, but even with older construction, we're constantly trying to fix. Like you'd mentioned before, how many renovation jobs are you doing where now part of that job is to fix the insulation in the house, right? You add new, change it out, whatever. We've seen people drill holes in the drywall and fill it up with foam. I mean, that's the key. We're all trying to get a warmer house, a more comfortable house. So air exchangers, I think, are one of those things that we don't think about when we do that. We're thinking about fixing the house. We're thinking about making it more efficient, more comfortable.
Correct.
But we don't think that we got to exchange healthy air still.
Well, it's important that we do.
So,
and here's a cheap one from Amazon for $14.99.
Okay, so you're looking $1,000 to $2,000, depends on the, and I would imagine it depends on the size of your house as well.
Correct.
And then is this something that it's fairly easy to go in and install? So I've done these improvements in my house. I want to put one in. Is this going to be a super hard project to get it done, or is it?
Well, the air exchange unit would be under new construction.
Right.
All right. Putting the bathroom fan, DIY, generally people do it on their own.
Okay.
No, I mean the fan's already there.
Right. So you're just
turn
putting in the
turn
actual,
your power off.
Yeah.
Follow the instructions. You're taking your normal light switch out, putting the timer switch in.
Right.
And then that will, and you can do it up to the one I just looked at. You can do it up to an hour.
Okay.
I mean, that's a little too much, but
Sure.
Generally 15 minutes. And that's not going to waste a lot of energy.
Perfect. I love it. I just like comfortable. That's the whole key. So,
well, the only thing about your old house is like my house is drafty.
Mm-hmm.
It's dusty. I mean, you'll see
right.
it.
Right.
And there ain't nothing you can do about
Well,
it.
but I like the fact too that you're getting in that a filtered air. You know, like
That's where the filter's coming
yeah,
through.
I was gonna say allergies and stuff though. Like it's. I could imagine that if you have one of these, air exchangers versus a drafty house, it's just gonna be healthier all around.
Correct.
You're catching all that pollen before it comes in and stuff. So
Well, back in my house, built in '64, there wasn't a lot of. They didn't glue the plates down.
yeah,
They just nailed them down. Right. And I have boards. Mine's boards on diagonals. Mm-hmm. And I have a hard time. See, my wood stove only heats the basement. It doesn't heat upstairs because the heat goes up, hits the board, and goes all to the outside walls. But the floors are at least warm.
Yeah.
Not like a radiant floor, but they are warm.
Yeah. Well, that's the advantages and disadvantages of an old house versus a new house. And I don't know. Maybe we need to do a show on that one day. Old versus new.
Yeah. I don't know what the cost of a new one. I'd include the air exchange unit.
Right. Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I don't see why you would build a new house and not have one, because if you do that, then you're just building the code. You're not building a super efficient house.
Correct.
So, but anyway, get the blower door test done. That's sort of the key of this whole thing, right?
Yep.
You get a blower door test done, and then you'll know if you need one or not. And, yeah, perfect stuff. So go to the VFW, tell them we said hello, get a good butternut squash soup and a BLT tonight, and tell them we sent them, and they'll give you a service with a smile. They'll probably do that anyway, but anyway.
Of course.
All right, man. Well, enjoy your week, and hopefully things will work out, and you can. Well, you're done with hay though.
No.
Okay. I was gonna hopefully work out weather-wise, and you can get the hay done. Oh. All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you later. All of our listeners out there, don't forget, give us an email, allabouthomeconstruction@gmail.com, and let us know about the smart speakers, and we'll send you stickers out. Perfect.
All right.
Randy, we'll see you next time. Take it easy, buddy.
Bye.